So thank you so much, Mandy, for the introduction. And welcome again, everyone. You made it to the last session of day 2. So yay. As Mandy mentioned, I am the ghost of the global collaborations past. And during this presentation, I'm going to discuss an overview of the joint collaboration between FDA-MHRA, along with Reza and Mandy. So, can you go? Okay, common disclaimer for FDA. So, over the last 2 days, we've heard the terms joint collaboration and sharing used quite a bit. But some may wonder, what gives FDA the authority to share non-public information with our global regulatory counterparts? Well, 21 Code of Federal Regulations 20.89 does. CFR 2089 is basically the communications, it gives guidance for communications between foreign officials and government officials. Basically, this statute explains that FDA can share non-public information with foreign government officials whom perform counterpart functions to the FDA, providing a written statement establishing its authority to protect confidential commercial information from public disclosure. These written statements come in the form of cooperative arrangements, such as MOUs or similar documents, and confidentiality commitments. Even with a corporate arrangement, FDA still must have a current confidentiality commitment in place with the foreign regulatory agency to share additional information. So now I know you're wondering, because I can read your minds, but FDA has over 200 field offices throughout the United States and offices in foreign countries such as India and China. That's not enough to do your job? Well, as we've been saying most of the presentations, clinical trials are global. In fact, over 80% of applications submitted to FDA for drug and biological review contain foreign data, which means FDA must have a larger global presence to inspect and ensure public safety. So the next 2 slides are meant to illustrate the global coverage of CDER's GCP inspections in 22 and 23. And as you can see, there are over 100 inspections outside of the United States. This first slide depicts 2023. The next slide is 2022. Now, it's small, it's not meant for you to try to see all of the countries in it, but it is meant to show you how global FDA is with their inspections and the clinical trials. So, considering the increasing number of clinical trials outside the United States, it can create a challenge for regulators to inspect globally, which is why our collaborations with global regulators such as MHRA and Health Canada is so vital. If regulators work collaboratively to implement information exchanges, then GCP inspection resources can be used more efficiently. Shown on the slide is diverse approaches that both FDA, MHRA, and Health Canada has used to try to address the issues of the globalization. Again, I read that one. I'm ahead of myself, huh? So OSI and MHRA began meeting regularly in 2016. At this time, the objective of the collaboration was to exchange information related to GCP inspections, including inspection outcomes, meet quarterly, and conduct collaborative inspections and keep each other informed about trending issues or problem children. I didn't say that. Now I will turn it over to Reza from Health Canada to discuss the collaborations present. Thank you.
Hi, everyone, and thank you, Lakeisha. So I will, for the next few minutes, I will walk you through the current status of the collaboration between US FDA, MHRA, and Health Canada. So Health Canada started collaborating initially with MHRA in 2018. And as Lakeisha mentioned, there was an existing collaboration between US FDA and MHRA, which started in 2016. And we were fortunate to become part of that collaboration too in 2019. Health Canada actively participates in ongoing meetings. As a trilateral group, we meet bi-monthly, every other month. And during those meetings, we discuss risk files, the common issues that are impacting each jurisdiction. For example, if there is an inspection conducted by our partners and resulted in a negative result with critical observations that will be added to our agenda during those meetings. And the goal is to have a uniform approach to manage that risk for our own jurisdictions. Also, to avoid duplication, we share our inspection plans for each fiscal year with our partners. And this way, we avoid duplication of our work. And also, we take advantage of conducting joint inspections. So if there is a chance to conduct a joint inspection, we discuss those during those meetings, and we use those to deliver our inspection program and for training purposes. I should have changed the slide. Okay. This collaboration between the three agencies has given us a big opportunity to gain a better understanding of each other's inspection procedures with the objective to harmonize and align processes. This, in return, will create a greater consistency in the regulatory approach and reduces burden on you as a stakeholder. And as Lakeisha mentioned, a global trial is a global clinical trial is a global activity. Therefore, the CNE portion of it should be a global approach too. And the collaboration gives us opportunity to optimize our inspection coverage and to maximize our inspection outcome, and provides efficient use of our resources. So there are two types of collaborative inspections. One is observational, in which one regulator will conduct the inspection and the other regulator will observe the inspection. The purpose of observational inspection is to gain confidence, and it is a training opportunity and gives an opportunity to observe good practices. The other type of collaborative inspection is a joint inspection. Is in that the inspection, a joint team is formed between the two regulators, either Health Canada with US FDA or MHRA with US FDA, and each agency conduct their inspection following their own procedures and policies. And they enter inspection findings in their own inspection reporting system. However, the goal is to share mutual findings in order to be consistent in the outcome as much as possible. So when we conduct joint inspection, out of courtesy, we notify each other 30 days prior to commencement of the inspection. Of course, all these collaborative inspections are done in accordance to confidentiality agreement or any privacy requirements established for each jurisdiction. As I mentioned before, we share our inspection lists or inspection plans for each fiscal year with our partners to avoid duplication of our work. And also as part of collaborative work that we do, we provide training session among all 3 agencies. And joint workshop, and this is the most recent example of that, and it was not possible without collaboration of the 3 agencies. And ultimately harmonization to align our efforts to achieve our final goal, which is participant safety and integrity of data generated during the clinical trials. The final slide gives you an overview, a general overview of the collaborative inspections completed since 2016 between all agencies. This includes both joint inspections and observational inspections. I will pass the mic to my colleague, Mandina. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Reza. So I am going to be the ghost of collaboration future. I'm sure that's not how Charles Dickens had actually worded it, but let's give it a try. So I'm going to give you an overview and really an insight into our current thinking and where we'd like this collaboration to evolve going forwards. So following on from our successful bi-monthly meetings, which started quarterly, so I have to get used to saying bi-monthly again now, we all agreed that we could do a lot more with this collaboration. It's great from where it has started from 2016 and where it's got to now, but there's just so much more untapped potential within this collaboration. So we did have a strategy meeting in London where we had thought about what more could we do and how can we be a bit more strategic with this collaboration going forward. So we do hold these strategy meetings annually, and the most recent one was last August. And we decided that we could review our current ways of working, came up with some new ideas and initiatives, which I will go through as well, and realised that actually this is quite a big project and probably has some distinct work streams that we're going to have to work through to develop some of these ideas. Okay, so what did we discuss and what did we come up with? I promise we weren't just sitting around drinking tea. We did do some work. So what we knew is that we could probably start working with how often we meet. Now, we do try and cover so much in our meetings bi-monthly, but as we know, the work that we do is so dynamic and things change very quickly. So we probably wanted to have a look at how often do we meet and what do we discuss at those meetings. So there's some work around that within our collaboration. We already share information, as both Lakeisha and Reza have said, but what information we share and how often and how timely that information is an area that we're exploring as well. So actually it can really benefit us with our upcoming inspection plans. And that's the other thing in terms of when we share the information that we have on our inspection plans, is there an opportunity there to be able to help influence each other's inspections too? We've already heard from Steve in terms of some of our compliance strategy in the MHRA, and we've already heard in terms of our observed inspections. So another untapped potential here is inspector training and how can we develop that further. So observing inspections is one of them, but we also know that technology is evolving, the clinical research ecosystem is evolving, and we need to evolve with it, as we've heard over the past few days. So there's some work around inspector training that we can do. And another key thing is our key messaging and our stakeholder engagement and any guidance. You've heard a lot about that. You're all part of that, whether you're here in person or you're online. So how can we really make best use and how can we engage with you as our stakeholders and provide information that you need in the most suitable format? Is this the best format? And are we targeting the right audience? So that's some work that we'd like to explore. Now, a really key and important aspect to both researchers and regulators is involving the participant and the patient voice in clinical trials and making clinical trials more inclusive so that the data that's generated is really reflective of the population that those medicines are going to serve going in future. Equally, that's important to us as regulators, and we're all looking now at what's our role within that. So that's an area we'd like to explore going forward too. And I've already mentioned exploring the use of technology, not just on how industry and researchers are using technology and what kind of technology we might come across, but also what technology are we using as regulators ourselves, and can we share any of that internally too? Okay, so I'm going to go through some of these streams in a little bit more detail. You'll hear a lot of repetition, so hopefully the message will sink in. So in terms of information sharing, as I mentioned, there's sharing of the inspection plans. Can we identify also common applications, common marketing authorization applications that are being submitted to the same regulatory agencies, and can we use our resources better for that, rather than 3 of us coming to inspect all at different times and you're going through the same inspection process just with a different regulator? Can we be a bit more strategic in that and timely in that? So looking at those inspection opportunities, as I mentioned, whether they're observed or joint, and really sharing intelligence that we hold. So whether that's compliance history on an organization or a recent inspection finding as well. So part of that work is really looking at how we share that information, what format that needs to be in, so that it's most conducive, A, to gather that information as quickly as possible, and then to send it on to each other so it's useful to us. So in terms of inspections, as I've mentioned, we're going to be looking at the training of inspectors and common applications, but also common compliance issues. So are we all finding similar compliance or significant issues on inspection that's coming as a key theme and that we really do need to tackle together? So rather than we've identified them individually and we realize that actually individually we need to work on this issue, that actually we can come together on that, and maybe we can use that as some of our strategic messaging going forward to help drive upstream compliance, as Steve had mentioned earlier. So how can we do that, and how can we drive upstream compliance? Well, first of all, we need to identify our key messages, as I've mentioned, and one of those may be some recent compliance issues we've seen. We've heard from Emily about recent guidance, and we've also heard from a number of presenters about the ICH updates too. And then looking at which stakeholder engagement opportunities there are. So we really do hope that this event that you're all attending now, you will take home some, key learnings and distribute those within your own organisations, and you find it useful. And is this the best format, as I have mentioned, or is there a particular audience that we want to target? Is it going to be not just quality assurance and quality compliance? Is there site staff? Is it data managers? Is it clinical operations? So really being a bit more strategic, and what's the best way to reach out? Is that audience reach best via presentations? We also have blogs. So in the MHRA Inspectorate, we do have blogs as well. We've seen some of the guidance documents, or is it a paper? So that's some of the work that we're looking at. So really, what's the best format of that messaging and how to get it out to as many people as possible? So to summarise, we continue to strengthen our collaboration, and personally I think it's going from strength to strength, but I am biased in that regard. And we hope to influence compliance by being more strategic, as I said, in our key messaging and exploring opportunities for alignment and harmonisation and learning from each other. We've already heard earlier about there will be some work on risk proportionality and risk assessments and how inspectors can be aligned in terms of inspecting risk assessments as well. So there's probably lots of areas that we can focus on there too. We'll look at training opportunities and information exchange, and look at our inspection opportunities as well, and continue our collaboration in terms of inspecting. Now, on a personal note, having seen this collaboration from the start and seeing it evolved as to where it is, I'm really excited to where it can lead to in future. And I'm going to take Emily's theme of Disney films. And I did want to get this in my presentation, but I didn't think our internal communications team would approve it if I put the picture in. So I'm going to take inspiration from Toy Story and Buzz Lightyear, that I really do hope that this collaboration continues to go to infinity and beyond. So that's mine. So here is a picture of some of us who, when we met in London. There were, of course, a number of colleagues who joined remotely, and I'd like to thank each and every one of our colleagues who contribute to and strengthen this collaboration.